And welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah show. And look who is here. It's the stars of Bullbusters. It's first Tara Dublin, writer, political commentator. Check out her Substack. Buy her book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story. She carries with her wherever she goes. The
Everywhere.
host of the Tara Show on YouTube, which is getting increasingly popular. Tara, nice to see you.
Thank you so much for having me back. I've missed you both very much.
And Brian Karem, he's back. My friend, longtime White House correspondent, writer for Salon.com, podcast, Just Ask the Question, and other stuff. Substack, he's got a Substack. Everyone's got a Substack. If you don't have a Substack, it's like being on Twitter now. Everyone's got one. Good to see both of you. Brian, welcome back.
Thanks. Good to see you. Name of the book is called Free the Press.
Oh, that's right. Free the Press. So we've got, look, we're going to do what we usually do. I'm going to read, no, you're going to alternate. I'll read the claim and we'll alternate who does the fact check, and then we'll have a discussion about it. So let's just start with the fact check. The claim today of Donald Trump, he wrote that the Epstein files are, quote, a hoax, a Democratic scam. He repeated that in the White House, that it's a hoax and a Democratic scam. Just a really weird turn of events in all this. So Tara, let's go to you about is there really an Epstein file, or was it all made up?
It's not that there's a whole file that you can pick up and carry around with you like in a briefcase, but what it is a collection of testimony from victims and witnesses. And what exists in the world is very damaging to Donald Trump, but it's been readily available on the internet for a really long time. And really all you have to do is Google search Katie Johnson's testimony, or just go to my Twitter, Tara Dublin Rocks, and it's in my first pinned tweet, because I created a video for just an excerpt of Katie Johnson's testimony last year, because MAGA doesn't read, and it's way worse when you hear what Donald Trump did to these little girls. And here's the thing. He campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. There are tweets from him saying he's going to release them from going back to last September. So the path of this is, there are Epstein files. Wait, no, there aren't. Wait, yes, there's a client list and it's on Pam Bondi's desk. Wait, no, there isn't. But there were binders that were released, and there was a big photo op with influencers, but then their binders were redacted, and they have been jerked around so much on this. They do not know what to believe, and that's the point, because if he continues to sow chaos, they have no idea what to think anymore. Is it a hoax? No, it is absolutely real. Is his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein a hoax? No. Did he fly around on the repainted Lolita Express last summer when his own plane broke down? Yes, he did. So, and he can't stop writing posts about how they're not real, which means that they're absolutely real. And if you don't think so, then go ahead and release what you got. If your name's not in them, why didn't you release them already? If Bill Clinton's name is all over them, why didn't you release them in 2020? Because it would have made Democrats look bad and you would have won in the landslide. So I would say, if you don't believe it's real, listen to the video it's on my Instagram, it's on my Twitter, it's available anywhere. Just listen to it, because it's honestly worse when you hear what he did. And I think people need to stop saying Epstein files, because it almost becomes meaningless. You just need to hear for yourselves what he did. And it's really not that hard to believe, considering he still owes E. Jean Carroll $100 million because he can't stop defaming the woman he raped. So yes, it's real.
I call it the Trump Epstein files, to be accurate.
Yeah, there's a huge cover up here, and all of the Republicans just voted to continue the cover up.
First of all, a couple corrections. There are files that you can put in your briefcase and walk away with.
But it's not one great big contained.
Yes, it is. There is a huge
mishmashes put together.
No, there is a massive DOJ file assembled by the FBI and members of the Department of Justice. And there have been FOIA, and I was one of the ones who filed the FOIA requests in the lawsuit to get them. They exist. Members of the FBI, my sources inside the DOJ, admit that these exist. Donald Trump knew they existed. They have been collated. They have been put together for potential and possible prosecution against Donald Trump, others in the files, and Jeffrey Epstein. And the biggest problem I have with this is, all right, it reminds me a lot of what occurred with Mar-a-Lago, right? First, there was no classified information. Then it was an FBI put-up job. And then, oh, by the way, I did a mind meld. There is classified material there, but I declassified it, and it's okay. I get to have it. This is the same kind of bait and switch. They knew it existed. Donald Trump said that he would release it upon being reelected to office. There are many MAGA members, and there are members that I've spoken to inside the Trump White House who are upset that this isn't being released. And to the biggest point is why we know that these files exist and there is a case, because Pam Bondi not only admitted that it was on her desk, but she was the one who is going to be, she's the one who didn't prosecute it properly when she had the chance in Florida. She is complicit in the cover up. She is definitely, I mean, everybody, just to go back, it was 2013. Pam Bondi in Florida was going to prosecute Donald Trump for tax evasion because of 22 complaints filed against Trump University. Trump then gave her a $25,000 campaign contribution, and magically she dropped this. And now it doesn't shock me that Pam Bondi was bought and paid for. It just shocks me as to how little you needed to have in your pocket to buy her. At $25,000, that's basically $480 a week or $12 an hour. Congratulations, you're an Uber driver. Donald Trump's Uber driver is Pam Bondi. So
Right.
the files absolutely exist. The list absolutely exists. There is no doubt, and it has been put together. It was collated from many different sources, but at one point in time, there was a prosecution. There was going to be a prosecution because guess what? Donald Trump and his minions thought they could go after the Democrats with this. And me, I'm the reporter sitting in the middle going, I don't care if it's Democrats or Republicans.
Neither do
Release
I.
the information. If they're pedophiles, if they're rapists, they have to be prosecuted. So if Donald Trump, in fact, wasn't on this, and it was, in fact, mostly Democrats, not only would he be shouting from the highest mountain that he has the information, more importantly, he would probably put it behind a paywall on True Social so he can make a few bucks off of it. It is all crap from
He'd
the
probably
word
also
go.
he would probably also hang it up on the walls of the Oval Office in place of the Declaration of Independence
Oh, and in
It'll be
Southern
the
schools in place of the Ten
It-
Commandments.
in a tacky gold frame. But
And
seriously, he would have won in a landslide if he released the information on Bill Clinton in 2020, but he didn't do
help.
that. It's a weird
He
way
did.
for an innocent and transparent person to behave.
And by the way, the DOJ memo released last week by Pam Bondi point blank talks about all the evidence in the file in the big general sense. For example, it says the searchers uncovered a significant amount of material, including more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. The files relating to Epstein include a large volume of images of Epstein, images and videos of victims who were either minors or appeared to be minors. That was Pam Bondi's memo a week and a half ago, which began all this stuff. There's no dispute. There is a file there. There's no dispute. It was collated. It was brought together by various sources. And it was Trump's DOJ that was prosecuting under Jeffrey Berman here in New York, 2019. Donald of Jeffrey Epstein. That's the one who put it together. That's the bulk of it that brought that case together.
And today, to your point, Donald Trump said today, as he got off and gaggled with reporters this morning, said that it's okay if they release credible information. So the key word there is credible. Who decides the credibility? Is it Pam Bondi, who was bought and paid for $25,000? I'd go with the Uber driver instead. They might have better sense. The fact of the matter is, Donald Trump, there is the information. Donald Trump doesn't want it out there, and he's going to do everything he can. Right now, he's even told his supporters, he on a True Social post this morning, he said, I don't need you. If these are my ex-supporters.
Shut the F up.
Yeah, shut the F up and nothing to see, moving on.
That's a weird thing to do too, don't you
That's
think?
the Streisand
Insulting your
effect.
own base.
Well, right. But
Weird.
here's the thing. Can I, and I'll go to you, Tara, for this. Donald Trump knows his base, had no problem with him being found liable by a jury of sexually assaulting E.G. and Carol, and a judge saying it was rape. He knows that he had no problem with the Access Hollywood tape, no problem with the other women coming forward, no problem even with a coup or a corruption. But whatever in this file concerns him this much, that he's telling his base, I don't need you anymore because we're never releasing this. So whatever's in there in his own mind is potentially worse than any of that.
Of course it is, because it's the rape of children. That's what these files describe. That's what
Well,
my recording describes. It describes the incident of what he did to these little girls. It's
that's
not
what
just,
we
and
know.
it is
That's
the
what we know. What we
it is
don't know could be worse. It's the
right.
fact that
So
it's the unknown that's so. I mean, if this is already out there, then Donald Trump is dealing with that already. It's what has not been reported, what has not been uncovered that is damaging to Donald Trump. And that portends even worse. What the hell is worse than raping children? I
but
mean,
I
my
see the point
God.
is I don't think enough people know about that part of it because of the suppression, because of
Oh,
the
well,
way the
that's true
media has
too.
been covering it. And I will tell you, I have been sharing my video of reading that testimony for a year. And to this day, I have people going, why have I never heard this before? Why was this never on MSNBC? Why hasn't Lawrence or Rachel reported on it? It's not for my lack of trying. They all follow me back on Twitter, but I'm suppressed there. I have shared it with the Democrats over and over and over. Right now, my pinned tweet says, House Democrats, just play this. Just play this audio the next time you're taking a vote, because then it will be broadcast live on C-SPAN. More Americans need to hear these details,
Right.
because I think at this point, a lot of people hear Epstein files and they immediately get turned off because they've heard the phrase Epstein files so much that it becomes meaningless. You know, like when you say your own name over and over again, it just sounds babbly and meaningless. But if they heard the details, if they heard Donald Trump slapped these girls in the face because they gave him a poor quality blowjob and he threw cash at them
What?
to get a fucking abortion, don't you think the American people need to hear that rather than just be told, oh, Donald Trump might have done this or he might not have?
And
You hear those details.
right.
They're disgusting. It was so
And did you
hard to
tell people the
record that.
source? Right
Yes.
before we started, we talked. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, did you say it since we've been broadcasting? Since we've been
Yes.
recording?
The
Oh, you did,
source,
you
the
mentioned.
source is Katie Johnson's testimony. The case file number is stamped on the document I read from. Anybody can access a public a file like that. It was filed. It's on the internet. And I don't know what Donald Trump thinks he's going to do. You could light the paperwork on fire, but you can't do that to the internet. And I'm not the
No.
only one who is sharing
No,
this
you can
testimony.
suppress
I'm certainly
information on the
not.
internet, which is what Donald Trump is trying
Good
to
luck.
do.
Good luck. You
No,
can block.
he has
Good.
removed files
Not
already.
from my account, he hasn't.
No, I'm
Because
talking
he's
about
blocked
public
me. So
information. Public information available by request at government agencies has been suppressed by Donald Trump. I would not be surprised if he tried to suppress this. The fact of the matter is, get it now. My point is,
it's on my Twitter right now.
Get it
It's
now.
on my Twitter right
because
now.
but also to the point, there are a lot of members of Congress who know about this and would like to push it forward. It's one of the reasons why the Democrats asked and called the Republicans bluff, who claimed they wanted to release the information and called their bluff in Congress, and they wouldn't do it. The members of Congress know what's in the files, and the Republicans do not want it released. And the Democrats don't care if theirs go down. They know it looks worse for Donald Trump. And the fact of the matter is, as Tara was saying earlier, if in fact these files showed anything about Obama, Clinton, Hillary Clinton, or the Democrat next door who takes out the garbage, they would have it out there in the public. This is damaging to
agree.
Donald Trump. This is why it's being suppressed, and people
And-
know it. And the MAGA members I've talked to are upset because they believe it's going to be odd if 20 years from now we're reading a history book and we find out that the great unifier in the United States, the man who brought both parties back together, was a dead pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. Because
That would be
That's the
weird.
timeline.
both sides are yelling the same argument: access of information. Both sides
Right.
believe that there is a conspiracy. Both sides believe that the deep state or other members of the government are hiding this information. And on both, I don't know if they're right on all accounts, but they're right about the main point. This is information that should be released to the public so the public can make decisions based on facts and not innuendo. So to that extent, I find myself in rare agreement with the MAGA crowd and the extremists on the other side who don't like my sunglasses.
We don't have extremists on the left. We don't have extremists on the left.
None.
So with Brian
None.
Karem and Tara Dublin. All right. So number 2. So we'll have, although we covered a lot of ground there. So I'll have Brian fact check this. Donald Trump posted on January 9th, 2024 in writing, quote, "I was never on Epstein's plane." So Brian, what do you think?
Jesus, where do we start with that? Okay. There's pictures of him on the plane. He took at least 7 flights with Epstein in the 90s. That's according to the flight logs. And in the trial, right, the 2021 trial, I think it was, his former pilot testified that Trump flew aboard Epstein's private plane on a number of occasions. So, yeah, that's a lie. That's
A
not
big
only
one.
is that a lie, it's a poorly concealed lie. Not only that is it a poorly concealed lie, why? The question is, why are you hiding that? Again, it
Right.
portends.
That's exactly.
That's
Sorry.
why it's
That's
a known
exactly.
fact. So why are
That's
you
the question.
hiding it?
You can. I said it earlier on this broadcast. Donald Trump, when his plane broke down last summer, could have borrowed a jet from any famous friend of his. Elon Musk, I'm sure, has a private jet. He could have paid for a net jet. Instead, he had the Lolita Express repainted and flew around in that instead. So don't tell me you were never on Jeffrey Epstein's
Well, he was
plane.
on it
In
when
fact,
Jeffrey Epstein was alive. He was
Well,
on it when Epstein was alive. That's the point.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
I
point is
see.
he
So
was
it's
on it when
okay to
Jeff
fly
Epstein was
around
alive,
on
and
his.
the question is, why don't you just admit it? What happened on?
No.
I mean, maybe Tara's
I'm-
onto something. Maybe it's fond memories on the Lolita Express.
It
and he rented
100%
it for
is.
that. Hey, that's
Relive-
where I did that.
reliving
one.
the
Hey,
glory
that's where I snorted the
days.
coke. Hey,
Yeah,
hey, that's
no.
where I
It's a
did the
weird
drugs
thing.
with Jeff off that girl's bottom. Maybe
Get
that's
in there with a black light because that is the DNA Express right there.
That's
That's
the
what
D-
that plane is.
Oh,
Jesus
it's like
Christ!
a
You want some
Jackson Pollock
evidence?
painting. Oh, I'm telling
Right.
you.
His
100%.
his campaign said they didn't know it was Jeffrey Epstein's plane when they rented it. That was they
Sure
said
they
know through
didn't.
the media. So
Shut
I have
the
no
fuck-
idea. I didn't follow the story much.
I don't doubt that they
But
didn't know it, but I do not doubt that he knew
Trump-
it.
Right,
Of
that Trump's
course
like,
he
I know
did.
that plane. That's a great plane. Maybe I'll get
Wrap
another one
me
like this
in my
later.
old ways. Let's go back. You know,
Right,
going
so-
back to the point, I had E. Jean Carroll on my podcast last Thursday, and one of the things that was left out of the testimony in her trial was that Michael Wolff, who was writing a book about Epstein, overheard him on the phone talking to a friend. It's like, oh yeah, no, I ran into Trump and he told me all of the torrid details of hooking up with E. Jean at Bergdorf's. And the only reason they didn't introduce that at her, and you should read her book, Not My Type, because it's full of court testimony we were not privy to. But the fact that they didn't introduce it, one, it's basically hearsay, but also what she told us on our podcast was that anything regarding Jeffrey Epstein would have gone nuclear, and there's no way Judge Kaplan would have allowed that testimony. But it just proves a point. Michael Wolff has hundreds of hours of interviews with Jeffrey Epstein saying we were best friends for years. We did all of this stuff together. There is enough evidence in the public domain that they were besties. They never had a falling out. That was a manufactured falling out so they could continue doing that rapey shit together. So, you know, if I'm a MAGA influencer, I'm tired of being lied
and
to.
he told me that.
course
He
you
told
did.
me that personally. This is not.
What did he
This
tell
is
you?
not up
What did
for.
he tell you,
I
Brian?
don't understand these people who think it's up for debate. This is like saying
What?
you breathe air. No kidding, you breathe air. Donald Trump was best friends with Jeff Epstein. That's a fact. And all these
Forever.
people that want to deny it piss me off. It's like I asked the man the question. It was
When did
on
you ask
live
him? What year?
television, for the love of Jesus.
When was that? What year? Do you know?
That was back
approximately?
in Jesus. That was when he was on the campaign trail the first time.
Oh, yeah, because Epstein wasn't arrested until 2019. And
Yeah.
Epstein, after he did his little time in Florida, the sweetheart deal, went back to his lavish lifestyle, hanging out with the rich and the famous and doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
It's
And
kind of
Pam
remarkable.
Bondi did nothing
I
to
know.
when
I
she
know.
sits there and says, I've got these files and it's all about this horrible pedophile and all this horrible man and what he's done, then excuse me, you lying, lascivious, avaricious moron. Why in the hell did you do nothing? So even if you take them at their word, if you say, okay, there's no list. If you take them at their word, the next question is, okay, you just admitted that there's tons of evidence and you did nothing. You should be arrested and charged with being complicit in crimes against minors.
Yeah, there's no good way out for them.
No.
None.
And Pam Bondi, what Brian's getting at, was Attorney General of Florida from 2011 to 2019. And there's still allegations that he was engaged, continuing in his efforts, but she could have went back and prosecuted him. There was only a county prosecution for just
Correct.
two little minor counts. You could have done something more serious, like where they charged him with in the felony in New York. Now, yeah, they got a whole double jeopardy argument. I get
But
that.
by then, you could have avoided a double jeopardy. And I've talked to many legal experts, including prosecutors in Florida, who said they could have done that. But the point is also tying it back to 2013 when Bondi and Trump first got together. So
Right.
at that point in time, she's bought and paid for by Donald Trump. Did Donald Trump at any point in time tell Bondi, look, lay off of Jeff, he's a buddy?
Right. That's a good,
Probably,
that's an excellent
yeah.
question. And why nobody, let me ask you, Brian, what we're talking about, something I talk about in the show, I've tweeted about or posted, whatever it's called now, that why doesn't corporate media ask Bondi, why didn't you investigate Jeffrey Epstein? He was in your state when you were AG from 2011 to 2019. Why won't they ask that simple question of her?
I will, and here's the reason why they don't, because right now the corporate media, the people in most of the major media companies, are being dictated to go light and let him trip over his own feet. Don't encourage it. Don't push back. Maybe they'll leave us alone. It's out of fear for slap suits like occurred to Paramount and CBS, a strategic lawsuit against public participation. Donald Trump sued 60 Minutes for a bullshit cause that would not have passed muster in court. But because Sherry Redstone is trying to unload Paramount and she needs review before the government, she bowed to Donald Trump. And that was look, Donald Trump didn't care and he didn't expect to win the suit. It was leverage. So that leverage has frightened everyone in the corporate media world, and the people that it doesn't frighten are those who support Donald Trump, who are in that media room, who only ask him questions like, how is it that you're such a great guy, you spout rainbows out of your butt? That's about it. That's
Marjorie Greene's boyfriend, right? Who writes?
Yes, there's a moron of biblical proportions. I literally watched that guy walk in, and I don't think he realized the door opened. I watched him walk into the door.
Well, his eyes are too puffy. He can't see it. By the way, Marjorie Taylor Greene also wants the Epstein files released.
But
maybe
she's
she's
meant for that in Congress.
And she explained it. She was like, well, we weren't voting for that for President Trump. We were voting on a vote to decide if we were going to vote. And then we put it in this order, and it's a point of order. And it's a weird rule, y'all. But I would release them right now if I could. It was just all of this hokey, double-talking bullshit.
Bringing MTG to life. And
it's very easy to do that impression.
I mean, this is the reporting, and we know what will happen is there are enough Republicans now who have indicated they would support forcing a vote by, doing that petition, like a discharge petition or something. But that's what they say. When push comes to shove, these Republicans know they do it. Thomas Massey is the only one.
You saw the vote. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
You've seen the vote. That's push come to shove. And how many didn't vote? What 9 abstained? It was 211 to 210. All you needed was one vote. One Republican with a bit of backbone who isn't the tail end of the human centipede that begins with Donald Trump. If you weren't just
human centipede, I like
all that
crap. That's a good one, yeah.
Yeah, Tara Dublin, Brian Karem, bringing the facts in the fire. All right, this one's for you, Tara. The claim Trump was asked yesterday if his name appears in the Epstein files. He said, no.
Client number one, sure.
But we know already because Pam Bondi did release 100 documents in February, the answer to this. So what can you tell us about, did his name appear in the Epstein files?
Of course, his name appears in the Epstein files, or else we wouldn't even be talking about them, right? And a reminder to everybody.
He wouldn't.
Pam Bondi, by the way, speaking of, she failed constitutional law when she was in law school. It's a nice little factoid. Yes,
how'd you get
nice
that?
little factoid I have gleaned.
Did you subpoena the school records?
I did not. It was a protest sign I saw here in Portland. I'm like, is that real? And then I asked the Google, and yes, it was. So, the facts are out there.
I go with Google.
I mean, here's something that we all know. If Donald Trump is still breathing, he's lying, and he's lying to cover up a lie. And just the path of lies from this particular topic is a loop-de-loop of a twisty, weird, up and down roller coaster that I don't understand why MAGA isn't completely vomiting from, because again, it was, yes, I'll release them. No, they don't exist. Yes, there's a list. No, there isn't a list. Yes, here are binders. All the binders have retractions. There's not a list, but yes, there's a list. And Obama and Biden and Hillary wrote it. Like, stop it already. Stop it already. There are so many, like, you want to eat lies 24/7, that's on you. But to continue to perpetuate them, you know that they're lies. I mean, MAGA knows, and Trump knows that they know, which is why he's attacking them now. And now he's going to find out his remaining handful of loyalists and really lean on them, because if he's losing like DC Drano and Matt Walsh and Jack Posobiec and Nick
Michael
Fuentes.
Flynn. Michael
And
Flynn.
wait a minute, he's lost Flynn. Forget
It
and
was in the
Speaker
meeting right
Jesus
before we
Freak.
started. Right,
Speaker
that Michael
Johnson.
Flynn.
Speaker
Michael
Jesus
Flynn is
Freak.
warning him.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way. Michael
Warning.
Flynn is warning him.
A warning
Michael Flynn
from
gives
Flynn.
Trump a stark warning. And Laura Loomer, who loves Trump, I mean, literally.
All these people have to be blocked, by the way.
loves Trump
All of
and
them.
has loved him,
Yeah.
has said, no, they're warning that if you don't give up the files, you're going to lose your movement. Like, they're different. It's not like the other one's going, you have to release it. They're just saying, you should, like Charlie Kirk last week made an impassioned but logical plea on Newsmax. I saw the clip. I don't watch Newsmax, where he's saying to Donald Trump that all the young people he knew, that a lot of them, they really believe in this stuff about transparency. They're not kidding. And I thought he was bullshitting. No, they really do care. They care about this. They believe there's some dirt on Democrats there, or they believe in transparency. Either case,
Which is
they
great.
want this, and they were promised it. And now Trump's just a normal politician. He doesn't care what he's elected, the people who elect him.
Well, let's see what happens. I mean, but I think the craziest thing I have seen around this thus far, and of course, this day is not yet over, but Lauren Boebert and Benny Johnson in conversation about this, and she recommends that Matt Gaetz lead an investigation into this Epstein mishigas, and it's just like,
the guy who dated young girls. He's perfect.
And I was like, you want a sex trafficking rapist to investigate another sex trafficking rapist and his best
You know
friend
what
who
Matt
raped a
Gaetz
little
has
girl
already
from
said
sex
about this,
trafficking.
right?
What
What
did
did
he
he
say?
say?
Matt Gaetz has already said, you've got to let some of this stuff go. It just happened in the past, and these are good people.
Says
No,
the
no, he
people
said
who are
that?
rehashing the 2020
Matt
election.
Gaetz said that.
Well,
Matt-
I mean, did you see Catch Me If You Can? You know, the
really.
character played by DiCaprio, he was Frank Abagnale, was a criminal, but then he helped the FBI. So he was good at forgery. So Matt Gaetz, you would want a guy who deal with children and had sex with them to investigate this, right? I'm kidding, folks, because he's a scumbag.
And the biggest forgery that Abagnale propagated on the public was he wasn't as big a forger and as big as a con man as he made himself out to be.
That's pretty
But he
good.
got a movie deal out of it.
He got that sweet, sweet movie deal, which I'm
and
gunning
so-
for myself. So, who
Here's the
knows?
last one. We got like 3 minutes left. The
Okay.
last one is less a pure fact check and much as it is a fact check, but it's in a weird way. And when Epstein died in prison in 2019, Donald Trump reposted, and this base loved it, about Epstein died of suicide on 24/7 suicide watch, big question mark. Why? Yeah, right. How does that happen? Jeffrey Epstein had information on Bill Clinton and now he's dead. And he goes, I see Trump body count trending, but we know who did this. Retweet if you're not surprised. Clinton body count, Clinton crime family. And you talk to Trumpers, they all were saying Clinton killed her. Killed him. In reality, Donald Trump, it was Donald Trump's handpicked U.S. attorney, Jeffrey Feldman in New York, who's the one that indicted him, put him in there, and he died in custody of Trump's own administration in a federal prison run by Bill Barr. In what? I don't know in what world. So, I mean, go to you, Brian, first. I know it's all bullshit, but how dumb do you have to be to believe that Bill Clinton went into a prison when this was a complete Donald Trump operation from beginning to end?
Did you ever see the movie Wag the Dog?
Sure, of course, yeah.
There's a great line in there. He said, it doesn't matter if it's true. It's a story. And once it gets out there, they've got to run with it. So that's the basic, that's Donald Trump's. I've often thought that, I know Donald Trump doesn't read, but I often think he takes Idiocracy and Wag the Dog and uses them as training material for how to deal with the press. Stephen Miller probably uses it more than him. He probably has a little bit longer attention span than Donnie. But the fact of the matter is, it has been since he stepped down that golden elevator, since he came down off the escalator, and began running for president. And before that, if you ever watched his show, or unfortunately, I had the the displeasure of meeting him walking out of Trump Tower one day back when he was just Don the Con in New York City and everybody knew he was a con man, of interviewing him. And I can tell you, having known him peripherally as long as I have, it doesn't matter if there's any logic to it. It matters that he says it and he gets you covering it and looking at it while he dodges another way. Donald Trump is simply the art of deflection. Does it make sense? No. Would it hurt him? Yes. But he's always skated on the skin of his butt for his entire lifetime. So if this story falls apart, he'll make up something else at the drop of the hat. Oh, by the way, I'm going to, Rosie O'Donnell, you can't be a citizen anymore. That's
Right.
It's whatever he can raise to get you to look somewhere else. So am I surprised by him saying this about the Epstein file? No, because that was deflection.
That's all he does.
When he tweeted, yeah, absolutely. When he tweeted that out and said, oh, yeah, sure, he committed suicide. Look into that. Well, that tells you that it probably wasn't, and he had something to do with it, and he probably covered his butt. But he wants you to look at it because he knows that if you look at it, it raises the specter of there being something there, and people will waste their time on that. That's all
Ignore
it is.
the man behind the curtain.
Well, Tara, but
I don't even know if he's the man behind the curtain. I think
he's
just the curtain.
An idiot. He doesn't even. So, but Tara, I mean, when you look at the real facts, why are there not stories about was Donald Trump involved in Jeffrey Epstein's death? He was arrested. The case was built by a Trump personally appointed U.S. attorney who was formerly Rudy Giuliani's law partner before U.S. attorney. The guy was denied bail by a federal judge, put in custody in Trump's control under the DOJ, and found dead after a suicide attempt just 2 weeks before. This
On
seems
Trump's
like
watch.
Donald Trump had him killed. Right. It
With
seems like Donald
missing
Trump had him
video
killed.
footage. Like 1 minute he's alive and the next minute he just hanging there, which is also weird because apparently in his cell there was nothing to attach something to hang anything from. And that footage is missing and they're looking to see what happened with the footage. I just think, what a weird glitch.
It was a hanging Chad. It was Florida.
Oh my. Oh my. Just weird that one, like the camera worked fine all the time, except for the minute and a half he took to kill himself. Weird that the camera glitched just right then. Everything about him is fake, except for the fact that he raped these little girls. He raped E. Jean Carroll. Those are the real facts. When he opens his mouth to defend himself, it is a lie to cover up a lie to cover up a lie, where he moved the goalpost to a place where he thought no one would look at them anymore. And he will use any scapegoat in a storm. So he's trying it with Adam Schiff. He tried it with Rosie O'Donnell. He'll try it now with Jerome Powell, saying he's going to fire Powell. So again,
he backed off from that already.
Don't fall for the distractions from the taco, because the taco will always taco.
All right, before we run out of time, I just want to give you both a chance to plug your stuff. Tara could be a whole show plugging. She got so much going on. Tara, where can people follow
the girl
you?
never stops because she doesn't know how she's paying her August rent. Hey, it's The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story, available now at taradublinrocks.com. I am also on Substack at Tara Dublin, and Tara Dublin Rocks on Twitter, Tara Dublin Rocks 1 on Instagram. And, please support your independent media, because this is the only place you're going to get the truth for a very long time.
And Brian, where can people follow your great work?
Well, I don't do much.
I ain't much for book learning.
I ain't much for that. Name of the book is called Free the Press. I'm on Salon once or twice weekly with a column, and you can catch me on Substack, Reporter's Notebook on Substack. The name of the podcast is called Just Ask the Question, and it's seventh year. We are just our next guest will be Miles Taylor coming up today. And
awesome.
So that's, and then of course, whatever shows when people call me to ask, I'm usually there.
On my podcast.
Even five.
I forgot to plug my podcast, The Tara Show, Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Political Voices Network at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Both of you are welcome to join us, because we just had Joe Walsh. I mean, we're racking them up. There might be a way.
This show is just an infomercial interrupted by facts. That's all it is in this book. All right, Tara, Brian, thank you so much. You guys were great.